Saturday, 5th October 2024, smack in the middle of an impeachment, the first of its kind in the country. Many Kenyans have asked me to say something about this impeachment, though I've been talking about it. In fact, I was amused yesterday when some young man on my Twitter or X handle, timeline rather, says, where is Manyora? Why is Manyora silent on Anguka nayo? Ama tupatie namba yake jenzio msalamie. It was very interesting. I've been talking about this impeachment from the time it was a rumor. So today I will not quite concentrate on the impeachment per se. I will address those who have asked me to say something about what if Gachagua is impeached? Who takes over from him? But before I look at life after impeachment for William Ruto, allow me to advise the president. And I used an American liner in advising the president. The Americans say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Don't take your vehicle to a garage and yet it is okay. Because this impeachment will bring lots and lots of trouble for the president, and he will have invited the trouble. If what was going on in the public participation venues yesterday is anything to go by, you can begin to see what I'm talking about. Mr. President, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And what do I mean? I mean that by bringing the impeachment, you are inviting lots of trouble, especially political trouble. The biggest challenge to the president will begin if this impeachment goes through. I'm using the word if because there are lots of challenges. Numbers are there, yes, but there are political challenges that lay in wait. There are legal minefields to navigate through. But my viewers want me to talk about what if Gachagua is impeached, who takes over. And that is the basis of my talk today. And that is what I'm talking about, trouble. Real trouble. Impeaching Gachagua may be the easier job to do. Navigating politics in the country after that impeachment is going to be pure hell. And that's why there's still time, perhaps, for the president to listen to the American line now saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Don't fix it. Look, talk in Western Kenya, where I come from, the Mlembe Nation, the former Western province, is that immediately Gachagua is impeached, Musalia Mudavadi takes over. That has been so for a long time. You can imagine the disappointment. You can imagine the reaction. You can imagine what lawyers will feel like and what kind of steps they are likely to take. If you impeach Gachagua, successfully try him in Senate, remove him from office, and hand that seat to somebody who is not Musalia Mudavadi. What in fact will Musalia Mudavadi tell the Luhya people? So if the president is banking on the Luhya people, then he's lost. I know the narrative that one could swing and create, that, oh, this is just a stopgap to please the people of Mount Kenya. In fact, even 2027 we shall give them. But we know you are our candidate for 2032. Hogwash. Nobody will listen to that. Nobody. Not even a kid. That Mudavadi can buy it, but behind him, I doubt any Luhya will listen to that kind of nonsense. There is talk about Gladys Wanga, Governor Homa Bay from Luo Nyanza. Again, where does that leave the people of Mlembe Nation? That Mudavadi and Wetangula helped William Ruto form government, fought so hard against Raila influence in the region, and yet they are now handing leadership to Luo Nyanza as opposed to the Mlembe Nation. There has always been this talk, which gained serious momentum in 2013 when Musalia Mudavadi stood for presidency in an election where Raila was also a candidate. It picked up in the build-up to the 2017 election when NASA was looking for its presidential candidate. The Luhya said, we have always supported Raila Odinga. It is our time. And in 2022, Musalia Mudavadi actually bolted from Raila Odinga's kraal and went to William Ruto because of the same narrative that we Luhyas have supported Raila and by extension the Luo people for a long time without anything in return. I don't believe in such a nonsense, but that is a narrative. So if you give Gladys Wanga, you feed into that narrative and you completely lose the Luhyas. The question is therefore anything to be gained by William Ruto, even if we gave one of those people the deputy president position? The answer is certainly no. But now flip it over. Ask yourself, if you successfully gave one of those two, what will be the consequences? First, the region itself will be split into two. The former North Nyanza region, currently formerly Western Province, will have nothing to do with Ruto if he gives to Wanga and vice versa. Well, the Luo they're okay. The Luo have had sufficient. Giving Wanga may in fact add very little extra. Is what you used to call in our small little economics classes, those junior classes, the law of marginal returns, where the Luo nation is already given enough by way of support being extended to Raila Odinga for chairmanship of AUC and by the cabinet positions given to Mbadi and Opio and I, so that anything extra will bring very minimal returns in comparative terms. So the marginal returns would not benefit Ruto, and therefore it could be Mudavadi, and that, of course, will antagonize the region I now want to concentrate on. If you remove Gachagua successfully, the mountain will be up in arms. The mountain is already restless. The mountain is asking serious questions. And if you want to know what I'm saying is right, look at the silence from the mountain, from kingpins, if you wish to call them, kingpinlets or kinglets or pinlets if you want. Look at the most senior politicians and the leaders. Look at the political leadership from the mountain. Look at the business leadership from the mountain. The land of billionaires. Look at those billionaires. Look at religious leadership, serious leadership of the church, and ask yourself, why is this leadership silent? That question must be asked by anybody who cares to find out about the politics of this country. And therefore, something serious is already happening around the mountain and on the mountain. That brings me to the conclusion that Ruto must surely arrive at, that you remove Rigathi Gachagua, you must replace him with somebody from the mountain. And that again, is not a walk in the park, as they say. Because what do you tell those from my Mlembe nation who firmly believe, like I've said, out Gachagua, Mudavadi in? You'll have a headache. But let's remain in the mountain. How then do you handle the mountain? First of all, it is obvious that an impeached Gachagua will be a wounded buffalo. Ukipita mbele yake anapita na wewe. It will not be easy to handle the mountain. And let me pause here and try to make us understand what I mean by the mountain. First, in very general terms, the mountain has the most votes. They're the most populous community. And I've said before, and I want to repeat here, you cannot run this country if you ignore the Luo nation. There may not be many, there may not be number one, number two, not even number three in this country, but you cannot run this country, and I have it on authority, if you ignore the Luos. Equally, you cannot run this country if you ignore Mount Kenya people. And therefore, when you remove Gachagua, you will have to reckon with the fact that you will be dealing with a very, very angry mountain. Mount Kenya may not be a volcanic mountain, but it can erupt. That's the time you realize the ordinary fire extinguishers cannot deal with a volcanic fire. And therefore, there will be an attempt, certainly, by the president to go back to the mountain to get a replacement for Gachagua. And that, again, is where the challenge comes in. Because the reason why the president settled on Gachagua, and what some people don't want to understand and agree, is that you needed a figure that could convince Mount Kenya people that although they have no written agreement or memorandum or whatever, whatever you call it, understanding, MOU, in the manner in which others had with Ruto in the run-up to the election, to guarantee their stake, that Gachagua was more than an MOU. The community believed he was a tough man, and the Ruto knew it. That's why he selected him over Kindiki. So that must again come back to haunt the president. That you cannot remove a tough man who can speak for the community. And indeed, if you look at the accusations against Rigathi Gachagua, the cornerstone of the accusations is that he is in love with his community, that he is fighting for the community, and he has the muscle to fight for the community. So you cannot remove a muscle man who is able to speak for and fight for the community and replace him with a flower girl. That is the challenge the president is going to get. So if you put there Kindiki, first of all, he comes from the peripheral parts of Mount Kenya. That alone is a problem you'll have to encounter. Even within Mount Kenya East, he comes from some tiny corner. That is a fact about politics almost anywhere in the world, but more so in this country of ours. So Kindiki will be the wrong choice. In fact, people will laugh it off. He's a good man, a very good man, well-educated, young. He has everything going for him, apart from a few problems he encountered and brought his way during the demonstrations. He's a capable man, but people will not see him as a replacement for Gachagua, at least not Mount Kenya people. Mount Kenya people will be looking for a Jamba, or a Jabba if you wish. A really man who can fight for them. So Kindiki will not fit that. And if Ruto dares that, he would have wasted his time. Because again, Gachagua will not just go home and sit down and take tea from pastor. No. He will continue rallying the community. And you need a man who can pull away some of the votes from Gachagua. That cannot be Kindiki. That cannot be Anne Waiguru. Not just because she's a woman, no. Kikuyus have experienced female leadership. Although their stories exaggerated to show it wasn't good, but they have had. And they call themselves the House of Mombi. Mombi is not a man, he's a woman. So women have tremendous respect among the Kikuyu. But certainly, and not just by her past record, no. But looking at it, if you present Anne Waiguru to the Kikuyu Gema Nation, can they see this as a suitable replacement to Gachagua? The answer is no. She's likely to be seen as a flower girl. Ndindi Nyoro, first is young, almost juvenile. Thankfully for him, he has stopped being activist and is therefore growing very well. But again, he was among the first people to antagonize Gachagua right from the word go. And the community may not take kindly of a young man playing the role of antagonizing a community leader who is defending the interest of the community. And therefore, he's lumped together with Kimani Ichung'wah, and there can never be a replacement to Rigathi Gachagua. You can go on and on. You can say Susan Kika from Nakuru. Not just because she's a woman, but she doesn't have the grassroots abilities to wrestle some votes from Rigathi Gachagua. Wherever Gachagua will be taking the votes, whether he will be standing or directing the votes to another candidate like Kalonzo Musyoka or even Raila Odinga. So this is the problem, therefore. And the president is left by very tough choices. He will have to look for a man who can somehow match Gachagua. I leave you with names that may surprise you. You are looking at somebody like Moses Kuria with enough grassroots mobilization skills, with enough toughness. But unfortunately for Moses Kuria, the tongue has soiled his name beyond repair. And that leaves you with Mwangi Kiunjuri. Watch this space. Mwangi Kiunjuri may be the man William Samoei Ruto may pick for running mate in the event. Many would want me to say in the unlikely event Rigathi Gachagua is impeached. Why Mwangi Kiunjuri? If you look at his past, he has had the toughness to fight in very tough environments and spaces. Remember when he was assistant minister? Remember his conflict and the ability to look in the eye when he had issues with President Uhuru Kenyatta when he was Minister for Agriculture. Remember the toughness to start his own party, GNU, run for governor, maybe lose it, but produce one GNU governor in the name of Nderito Gachagua, brother to Rigathi Gachagua, first governor of Nyeri. The toughness to produce several MCAs, the toughness to turn in elected leaders using the TSP, the Service Party, facing off against the yellow fever in 2022, winning this Laikipia seat several times, one of the longest serving MPs in the National Assembly today. That man has a toughness and the organizational skills, the grassroots skills. Anybody who knows him, even those who hate him, say Don't play with that man when he turns to Gekoyo tongue on a platform and when he begins to mobilize at the ground. And therefore I said from the word go, and I must end there, that removing Gachagua will be the easier part. Getting the person to replace him. And that's why I'm saying, when Ruto begins to do the math, and most of it is not mathing, he will realize he will be left by the likes of Moses Kuria as options of the kind of people who can wrestle on the ground with Rigathi Gachagua after the impeachment. And I can see the sun shining on Mwangi Kiunjuri. I can see the president wondering, if I chose this young man, would I also not be bringing on board the same problem I had with Gachagua because of the toughness? And therefore, I go back to the American saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you try to fix it, you will encounter lots of challenges. Mr. President, there you go.